Today we're talking all about copy space ideas. Hey, I'm Vanessa. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I like to talk about book cover photography, self-portrait photography, basically anything that's kind of creative photography related that you can do from home and do all by yourself because I'm extremely introverted. So I have a series of videos all about getting started with book cover photography, and in previous videos I have talked a little bit about copy space or negative space, which is basically just an area of the image where the book cover designer can put the title of the book, the tagline, the author name, that sort of stuff. Now, it's not absolutely essential that you make this part of your image. I have licensed images before where the designer has basically made their own copy space, and I will show you an example of that image right now. But basically the idea is if you do make this part of your image, it's a lot easier for the designers to potentially visualize what they're going to do with this image. They don't have to invent that space for themselves. It already gives them a spot to do it. I personally believe that it is a really good practice to have if you are shooting specifically for book covers. So if this is the kind of information that you like to hear, please like this video. It really lets me know what you like and also tells YouTube that this content is valuable for other viewers as well. So let's get into some of these copy space ideas. I tried to clump these into categories and I just really couldn't do it in a way that makes sense because in reality, most of them fall under multiple categories. So you can really mix and match these ideas and get creative to make them your own. I'm going to jump into the idea of keeping things simple. Simplicity. Here I have an image of a wall and a floor, and yes, it's kind of interesting because it's wooden and there's, you know, some lines going through and stuff. The designer could really break it up by having maybe the title on top and the author name on the bottom, or adding other illustrative elements or whatever they prefer to this image. But the image alone is actually extremely simple. So just having an image that is minimalist is a great way to have ample copy space. So here's basically the same shot, but I have moved over a little bit to where there was some sunlight streaming in. So the light coming in is creating these different boxes and different shapes on the wall, and those also narrow down into their own kind of separate little copy space ideas. So keep that in mind as well. So a shadow in and of itself, as well as the light source itself. So just like a shadow could be a potential spot for copy space, basically a silhouette would be the exact same idea. This is providing an interesting shape that is blank and empty enough on the inside that the writing wouldn't get lost there. So if you're photographing people for book covers, one of the great things that you could use for copy space is actually areas of skin. Anywhere that your model potentially has some skin showing could be a great spot for copy space. So this could be a back, a shoulder, or if it's really close up, it could be a cheek as well. Anywhere that you can get a nice open area would work for a title or for the author names. So my next idea is really one of the things that photographers will tell you not to do in other genres of photography. So if you're a portrait photographer or you're a wedding photographer or you're doing some kind of pet portraits or newborns, I don't know. If you're photographing people, they will tell you to stay away from this, and that is having a lot of space above the head. I see lots of critiques online where people are telling other photographers to crop it in, bring it into the person and not to have so much space ahead. But this is really actually a great opportunity if you want to submit these images for book covers because it's providing that space that is needed. And so in reverse, you can do the exact same thing in reverse and have plenty of space below, showing the ground, showing the feet area. I love it when there are stairs or some other element that could potentially have the words being stacked on it. I think that these concepts look really great on covers because they're interesting, but there's enough space there to actually get the writing in that you need to get in. And combining the two, having your subject in the middle with plenty of space above and plenty of space below, can also give the designer options as far as where they want to place all their text. So you can, like I said earlier before I started this, you can definitely blend these different ideas and mix and match them. This doesn't just apply to shooting people. This can also work if you're shooting still life. So I have some boots here on top of some stairs, and I have the stairs shown below. I have some bottles with plenty of window space shown above. It's just a matter of composing your image, no matter what the subject matter is, to make sure you have that space. The exact same principle can be applied to images that are not shot straight across, but rather from above, and just again, composing your image to have extra space either above or below your subject. Different ways of obscuring your face for a book cover also can provide copy space. So by placing your subject behind an item or behind a curtain or fabric or smoke, or potentially wearing oversized sunglasses, all of these things serve two purposes, and the first one being obscuring the face so that the character is a little bit more digestible to the reader, but also provides a really great spot for the title. Now, this advice, again, goes directly against what other genres of photography will teach you. Typically, you are not wanting to hide your subject's face. Typically, you are wanting to demonstrate your person in a clear, accurate way. So don't be afraid to break the rules in this case. Book cover photography is not your standard photography. One example of this that I've been doing a lot recently is by cropping my images and rearranging them to kind of be like a split portrait. So even though you can still fully see me in some regard, because the image has been cut in half and then split to create plenty of copy space in the middle, I'm not quite as recognizable as I would be if the image was just a straight portrait. So this effect can be done in Photoshop relatively easily. If it's something that you guys are interested in learning, I can make a video about that. Please leave a comment below if that's something that you would like to learn. Creating borders. Now, no matter what way you want to create a border, whether it is stacking up twigs like I have done here, or even using a hand-drawn piece of paper, something that's been ripped, or if you use Photoshop to composite together something that is a border, all of these examples are awesome ways of freeing up the center space and making it available for the designer to use for their copy space. One really popular copy space idea that I see all the time on book covers is reflections. So even though the reflection is a little bit more detailed than some of the other ideas that I've shared, the reason why this works is because we don't necessarily need to see the reflection. We can look at the upper part of the image to get all the details and information. So even if the bottom part is quite covered up with text, we don't feel like we're missing out. We already know what's there. So reflections are really awesome, but they're also symbolic and add a lot of information in that regard to what the book could potentially be about. I think that's why reflections are so popular on covers. Now here's an image that kind of throws back to my previous tip of having simplicity or minimalism, and this is just a picture of a wall. But I didn't really want to say that this was minimalist because there's quite a bit of texture here, and that adds a lot of visual interest even though there's plenty of space. Now, if you don't have access to old peeling wallpaper, I tend to get the same kind of feel by making these painted boards and shooting from above, arranging different items. I'll have an example here for you of some flowers where I've left plenty of space for text to be added, but they're so versatile that you can really add any elements you want and just rearrange and spend a whole afternoon doing, which I have totally done. I have a previous video of how I shoot for this look, and you can watch it. It's a little bit of an older video, so it's a little bit long and slow, but there's lots of information there, and it really is helpful if it's something that you want to shoot, especially if you're at home and you just have still life items. If you're watching this shortly after I create it, most of the world is in quarantine right now, so we're all looking for things to shoot at home, and it's probably my top tip for shooting for book covers at home would be doing something like this. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. I also have a video where I teach you how to paint these textured backgrounds, and you can get started in that as well. Okay, I'm slowly getting down to my favorite, and this is one step closer, and that is just using an item. So having any item that has a open blank space that you can portray as your main area of your image, whether it is the front of a bottle or the side of a suitcase. One of my most licensed images is an image with the back of a painting, broken items, broken mirrors, broken mugs. Anything that has an open enough space can serve the purpose of being symbolic towards the story of the image, but also providing that room for the title. Okay, on to my favorite tip, and this is just a personal favorite. I don't know why I love it so much, maybe because logically it is perhaps the thing that makes the most sense. But anytime that there is an item that would normally have writing on it and that's used for the title, that is my favorite. So whether it's a piece of paper, a computer screen, a photograph, a sign, a book cover, anything like that that would normally have any sort of writing on it that you've maybe photoshopped off and cleared it off and made room for a title, I love that. So I try to do that as much as possible. Actually, a few years ago, I had surgery, and when I came home and I was recovering, I kept my hospital bracelet on for a few days, and my mom was like, Nessa, why don't you take that off? And I was like, no, because when I feel better, I'm going to do photos with it. And then she was just like, of course you are, of course. So any opportunity that you have to do this, I highly encourage it. I think that it is a really cool way to have a title or an author name displayed on a cover. Like I said, it's perhaps the one that makes the most sense. So if it looks like it's part of the image, I don't know, that makes me happy. I can't say for sure that they sell better than anything else, but I just think that they're more fun. So that's my favorite way to add copy space to my images. All right, so that is all the copy space talk that I have for you. But I also wanted to ask you guys, if you have been watching my book cover photography videos and they helped you get accepted and start submitting to book covers, I would love it if you guys would leave me a little comment below telling me all about your story, your experience. If you've sold anything yet, keep me up to date. But also, I think that it would be a really great way to inspire other viewers or people who are feeling like, oh, can I get into this? Can I not get into it? It might really encourage them as well. So I would love to see that in the comments below. But if you're new and you want to stay up to date on any other book cover photography related content that I'm going to be putting out, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm always creating something, and I'd love to have you join me. Go ahead and check out my playlist of book cover photography videos. I'll have it available for you right now.